स्वापदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरू श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे शृण्वतां स्वकतकृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विध्नोति सुहृत्सताम्. Okay, so welcome all to today's class. So today the verse we're going to read is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 16, Text 25 and 26. So let's try to read this verse. Yan upajushananam na kadachit api prajanam valipalitaklamashveda daurgandhya jaramaya मृत्युसितोष्ण वैवन्योपसर्गादयस्तापविशेष भवन्ति यावज्जीवं सुखं निरतिशयम् एव. Synonyms: Yan, which all the products produced because of the flowing rivers mentioned above. Upajushananam, of persons who are fully utilizing. Na, not. Kadachit, at any time. Api, certainly. Prajanam, of all the citizens. Vali, wrinkles. Phalita, grey hair. Klama, fatigue. Shveda, perspiration. Daurgandhya, bad odors because of unclean perspiration. Jara, old age. Amaya, disease. Mrityu, untimely death. Sita, severe cold. Ushna, scorching heat. Vaivarnya, fading of the luster of the body. Upasarga, troubles. Adhyaha, and so on. Tapa, sufferings. Vishesha, varieties. Bhavanti, are. Yavat, as long as. Jivam, life. Sukham, happiness. Niratisayam, unlimited. Eva, only. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The residents of the material world who enjoy the products of these flowing rivers have no wrinkles on their bodies and no gray hair. They never feel fatigue, and perspiration does not give their bodies a bad odor, the sweat. They are not afflicted by old age, disease, or untimely death. They do not suffer from chilly cold or scorching heat, nor do their bodies lose their luster. They all live very happily without anxieties until death. Okay? So it is telling how to live a good life even in this material world. If you don't practice these simple recommendations or methods, then you see the life in the material world all becomes more and more misery. Okay. Now let's look at the purport, what Prabhupada says here. This verse hints at the perfection of human society even within this material world. The miserable conditions of this material world can be corrected by sufficient supply of milk, yogurt, honey, ghee, molasses, food grains, ornaments, bedding, sitting places, and so on. This is human civilization. Ample food grains can be produced through agriculture enterprises, and profuse supply of milk, yogurt, and ghee can be arranged through cow protection. Abundant honey can be obtained if the forests are protected. Unfortunately, in modern civilization, men are busy killing the cows that are source of yogurt, milk, and ghee. They're cutting down all the trees that supply honey, and they're opening factories to manufacture nut, bolt, automobiles, and wine instead of engaging in agriculture. How can the people be happy? They must suffer from all the miseries of materialism. Their bodies become wrinkled and gradually deteriorate until they become almost like dwarf, short. And a bad odor emanates from their body because of unclean perspiration, resulting from eating all kinds of nasty things. This is not human civilization. If people actually want happiness in this life and want to prepare for the best in the next life, they must adopt a Vedic civilization. In a Vedic civilization, there is full supply of all necessities mentioned above. Okay. So this verse is clearly talking about, okay, so we are in the chapter which talks about the description of Jambudipa, uh, in a portion of the description of this material world. Okay. So in that, here it is mentioned the glories of Jambudipa. And within that, it's talking about how someone can lead a Vedic civilization, be it eating habits or whatever habits it may be, and still lead a very, very, healthy, successful life. Okay. So when someone gets illusioned with modes of ignorance to a larger extent, then you see that he gets into more and more miseries. So Prabhupada instituted Varnashrama system. In the Varnashrama system, he created the four ashramas on the Varnas. So, by following the simple Varnashrama system, one can get prepared to practice bhakti in a greater detail. So, Prabhupada talked about simple living and high thinking. In order to accomplish why we should take up simple living and high thinking, rather than getting carried away by the variegatedness of this material world, one should sit and analyze what is this material world about. If we analyze what this material world about, then we will know the purpose of our life. Then we will know what sort of vision that we need to have when we see things around in this material world. If we don't correct our vision, when I say vision, I'm not talking about just the external vision, I'm talking about the internal vision also. So once we correct our vision, then we will see there is a change of consciousness. The consciousness uplifts from the lower consciousness or a closed consciousness to higher and higher consciousness. And the highest consciousness one reaches is in the transcendental plane. And that's what will take him to eternity of joy. Not just being participative in the material interactions. People in the material world, they have different thought process. They think that everything created in this material world is just for them to enjoy. So they just go on enjoying. Another set of people think this is only one life for me. If I lose this life, when will I enjoy? So I take the best juice out of this life. Another set of people are thinking, oh, there is life after this, another life. So I should follow, practices in a modified format like dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And they think, okay, I will get, moksha in the form of enjoyment in the next birth. So they're trying to do some adjustments there. You see many schools of thoughts, many schools of thoughts. But what is important that we have to see is all schools of thought are manifested from our mental concoction. Oh, this is right, oh, this is wrong. But if we go and analyze what our predecessors, our acharyas have told, what the Vedic Shastra conclusion is told, then we will see there is greater depth to this whole system that is being created. So I've created a set of slides to make you understand what is this material world about. Okay. What view Parikshit Maharaj had when he was having this conversation with Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami being an Avadut, how did he interact with Parikshit Maharaj? And I've also concluded with Srila Prabhupada's view about how is he recommending us to practice in this material world. So I hope that some of the pointers that I brought in here will help understand these viewpoints. Okay. So if we look at this 15th chair, the 5th chair, canto and 16th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadeva Goswami about the Lord's Virat Rupa. And he's asking this Virat Rupa, how is it is pervaded through this entire universe? Right? So, Sukadeva Goswami begins by explaining about Priyavrata Maharaj. So, Priyavrata Maharaj mounted a brilliant chariot and he went behind the sun god. Then what he was doing, the speed at which he was traveling, the wheels, right, that rotates with such high speed, it created 7 groups, and that caused, later became 7 oceans. And it divided the Bhumandala. We have Bhu, Bhuar, Suvar, the Bhumandala, into separate island. Many islands were created. So if you take Srimad Bhagavatam and 5.13, the 13th chapter, it also reveals the names of these islands. These islands are Jamblu, Plaksha, Salmali, Kusha, Krauncha, Shaka, and Pushkar. Right? Srimad Bhagavatam also gives description about these oceans, these 7 oceans that got created. So today in our planet that we see oceans with salty water, but there are many oceans with the sugarcane water, with liquor. Here liquor is somaras, then clarified butter, ghee, then oceans of milk, then emulsified yogurt. Then we had sweet drinking water, maybe like a sugar water, right? So you see, many different kinds of oceans are also got created. And what did Priyavrata Maharaj do? He gave each of these 7 islands to his 7 sons and tell them, okay, this is your sovereignty, you can rule them. So now we will see what sort of questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadeva Goswami to understand this material world. Why did the Lord create it, and how do we understand the nature of this material world? Now, the brilliance of Parikshit Maharaj also should understand. See, we have seen or we have heard that Sukadeva Goswami doesn't associate with grahasthas or materialistically inflicted people. Maximum association he would come in a day is the time that is taken to take the milk out of the cow. And that much time he would wait there, collect the milk, and he would leave it. That means he was very clear about his association. Now, Parikshit Maharaj is a king, he is a grahastha. So then how come Sukadeva Goswami is associating with him? Right? So it's also arrangement of the Lord. Now, his association will be for a very short period of time. So Parikshit understood this, and then he's framing questions after questions. One statement followed by another question. And before the first question is asked, the second question will be ready so that Sukadeva Goswami doesn't disengage his conversation with Parikshit. So this way, there was continuous conversation between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Now, when can a listener have such a consciousness? When his love for the subject to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and that too from a great personality like Sukadeva Goswami, is so intense, hankering to hear about the Lord. That is when he can do. Now we can see contrasting difference in today's life. If the class exceeds 1 hour, immediately there's resistance. Oh Prabhu, how long to sit down? We have difficulty, we have other things, and we need to go. So you see, our likeness for the subject or love of Godhead is already in a distorted manner. That's why we are waiting for an opportunity to exit. Hmm? So, Sukadeva Goswami explains, Parikshit, when the mind is fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his external feature, okay, which is influenced by, or to our eyes, it is influenced by three modes of material nature, right? Then what happens is we can come to the platform of pure goodness. When we come to this platform of pure goodness, then the real position of the Supreme Personal Godhead will begin to reveal. We have read in this sloka, in Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So where is this Vasudeva? How can we see Vasudeva everywhere? We perceive reality according to our consciousness. If my consciousness is in the lower forms, let's say my consciousness is more about Annamaya state. So then wherever I go, whatever I do, I'll see as a benefit to gratify my tongue, and nothing else I will see. That is my consciousness. So, by constant association of Srimad Bhagavatam, or in this case, Parikshit Maharaj, his conversation with Sukadeva Goswami, his consciousness getting illuminated into purest consciousness. And when his consciousness becomes pure, he is able to see Vasudeva in everything. He sees the hands of the Lord in everything that he sees around. So now that Vasudeva, which is subtle, which is present everywhere, he wants to hear about that Vasudeva. Hence he is asking, Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami, one can understand the Supreme Godhead Vasudeva, who in his subtler form is self-effulgent and beyond the modes of nature. Can you please describe that vividly, that form of the Lord? He who is covering the entire universe and is present everywhere. How do I distinguish him? How do I understand him? Is what Parikshit is asking Sukadeva Goswami. Okay, I'll take the next slide. Parikshit Maharaj is asking this question is not for himself. Why? Because if you look at the life of Parikshit Maharaj, even in the womb, the mother Uttara, when the Brahmastra was supposed to attack him, the Lord manifested or expanded himself to protect him. So, even in the womb, Parikshit is a great devotee. So that means he is very clear about all aspects of this creation. But we all of us who are practicing bhakti or people who are not practicing bhakti, we are practicing bhakti in a Mishra state, bhakti Mishra yogis, right? So our bhakti is not pure, it is adulterated with many material concepts. Anna Bilashita Shunam, Jnana Karma Anavritam. So we are not in a pure state. because of mix of these things, right? So Parshit Maharaj had a different mood. That is explained by Krishna Chakra Thakur. He says, my mood is not about what I know, what I don't know. My mood is about to hear Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, to hear the nectar, the katha spoken by a realized soul, Sukadeva Goswami, to hear from his lips. When I hear that, I will realize that Vasudeva. So now, realizing that subtler form of Vasudeva contains two aspects. One, to hear from the right source, right parampara, and also to hear the subject matter with rapt attention and not to mix it with fruitive thought process, right? Otherwise, what happens? Our consciousness is very, what do you say, very finicky. Whatever we see, whatever we understand in reality, uh, for example, inert matter. What is inert matter like? Stones, rocks. If we don't see a relationship between Lord and that rock, then we'll see it as some sort of a stone which got compressed several years ago and then it got produced, right? For impersonal people, they'll see it as God's creation. They'll say, hey, everything is creation of God, but they don't know the description of God. They'll say, okay, God in some form exists somewhere. We don't know, and then it's none of our business, right? And some people, they think, oh, this entire thing is mine. So that's why whatever he surveys with his eyes, he thinks it's all mine. I need to capture it, right? And a communist set of people, they will think, oh, it's all collectively ours. Let us together enjoy this. And devotees, they think, no, 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 all these things belong to Krishna, Rishikesha. So there are two kinds of thought process, the material consciousness and spiritual consciousness. In the spiritual consciousness, when he thinks everything belongs to Krishna, then there is an opportunity for relationship between us and the Lord begins. If everything belongs to Krishna, then why Krishna has brought me here? What is it that he wants me to do? What is my prescribed duty? When we see in that consciousness, this entire universe that we see, the outer space, the stars, the moon, every element within this Bhumandala, we see it is spiritualized. It loses its material position. Material positions are like it has got bewildering characteristics, the aghast forms. So we will not see all those things. We will see it in relationship to the Lord. Let me read this line. See here. The world is certainly material, but because everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Personal Godhead, ultimately it is no more material. So, the view of material is in what we perceive. Otherwise, it is not material. A devotee, when he sees that nothing is away from relationship of the Lord, then he see the presence of Vasudeva, the hands of the Lord in each and every element in this world, in this creation. So hence he is always in the state of transcendence and bliss. Look at this bullet. I'll just highlight this. Everything, even that which is material, is connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything should be used in service of their Lordship. One should not give up anything connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking it is material or enjoyable for the material senses. Even the senses, when purified, are spiritual. See, there is a difference between the practice of devotion given by Srila Prabhupada and, other aspects of the Mayavada philosophy or impersonal philosophies and things like that. They distinguish, oh, this is not spiritual, this is material. Anyone who distinguishes, either in the lower forms or in higher forms, Prabhupada says it is Kanishta mentality. What is Kanishta mentality? is where the knowledge is not rectified, the realization is not happened. So hence he distinguishes. So when we see everything is connected to the Supreme Lord in some fashion or the other, then you will see all these things can be used in service of the Lord, including ourselves. For example, who are we? We are a soul and we're covered with this gross body. This gross body is full of energy. Everything in this body is full of energy. So, using this gross body also in service of Vasudeva is perfection and realization. So, practice devotion. If this body itself is supposed to be used in service of Vasudeva, what to speak about the opulence that is possessed by this body? That also used to be in service of Vasudeva. This is the clear statement that Parikshit Maharaj is trying to get to us by his conversation with Sukadeva Goswami. Okay, so we'll dwell into some more examples. Understanding our viewpoint will purify our consciousness. Okay. Now, what does this matter? Matter is also Krishna's energy, right? When we see there is a relationship between this matter and the Lord, that means our consciousness is purified. If we don't see that relationship, that means we're in ignorant consciousness. Okay. What is the role of Maya? What is the role of Maya is she wants to bring in forgetfulness. If we forget Krishna, then we see us. If we see only us, then we see as the sole enjoyer of this material world. Then we will see it as it's created for my pleasure. I want to rule. I want to enjoy. And this is called as an imperfect material consciousness. When one possesses a material consciousness of this nature, the result is transmigration. He keeps on transmigrating from one body to another body until a point. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Until a point that he realizes, no, I'm doing this for time immemorial. There's no point in doing it. Otherwise, I have to keep on taking birth after birth. Sat asat yoni janmashu. Meaning, we will always say, okay, if I do good, I'll get better birth. If I do bad, I'll get lower birth. We are only in this transaction. We can never come out of this cycle of birth and death. And we keep searching for our happiness in everything that we do, in whatever format we are. So Sukadeva Goswami is explaining. This world is not created for my enjoyment, but it's created for Krishna's enjoyment. So, if we realize this truth, which Parikshit is demonstrating by hearing that from Sukadeva Goswami is realizing this truth, then what he says, whatever we say, Krishna says, Ashashvatam Dukhalayam, this place is full of misery, will change into a place of Vaikuntha. What's the place of Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha is a place of full of bliss and eternal joy. Vishwam Purnam Shukayate. So here I've got about two pictures for you on the right side. Right? You can see the top picture has only got a hat. I mean, there's not a hat, but I am just using the word hat. Okay, or a turban, you can say. The view of a materialist is he will just see this turban. He will say, see, it's made of cotton. It's good quality. That's got a nice color. And he will only see the characteristics of this turban or a hat. He'll not see anything beyond it. You see, his consciousness is very limited to that point. Okay, a practicing devotee, what does he see? He sees this hat and the person who's wearing this hat. When he sees the person, wearing that hat, then he sees the other details. He sees the beloved owner of that hat. Are you all seeing the screen?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. So now when he sees there is a personality behind this hat, then he sees the wonderful qualities of that personality. Then He sees there's a lot of remembrance, whatever he forgot. Then he sees there's a relationship between the material element and the person who created it, or the person who's the owner of it. That is called the spiritual consciousness. So, Parikshit Maharaj is concluding what is the root of this entire material existence that we possess? Is because of our false ego. False ego is telling that I am an enjoyer of this material world. Why? A true ego will tell us, oh, I belong to the spiritual world and I am a servant of a servant of servant of my Supreme Master. So, this is where the root cause that Parikshit Maharaj is trying to help us understand, and hence he's asking those relevant questions to Sukadeva Goswami. Okay, so let me go a little bit further. So we talked about um, uh, relationship between the Supreme Lord, and here if you see Srila Prabhupada's vision. In our preaching work also, we deal with so much property and money, and so many books bought and sold. But because they're dealing all connected to the Supreme Lord Krishna, and our activities are done for the pleasure of that Supreme Lord, none of these activities should be considered material. That means anything activity that we do for our ISKCON movement under the direction of Srila Prabhupada and the other acharyas is spiritual. So that one is absorbed in thoughts of such management does not mean he is outside of Krishna conscious. If one rigidly observes the regulative principles and chanting 16 rounds of Mahamantra every day, his dealings for the sake of spreading the Krishna conscious movement is non-different from the spiritual cultivation of Krishna consciousness. We can see everything is spiritualized, right? So that is the key takeaway that Parikshit Maharaj is making us to understand. This will lead to the next thought process. What's the thought process? If our goal in this life is to realize that Supreme Lord and serve Him for His pleasure, then where is the need for all this so much material innovations and material comforts? It is not required, not possible. Without that knowledge, if I continue to dwell myself on this material plane, then what happens is what is explained in the sloka. Okay. So now, what should be our vision? Srila Prabhupada explains very brilliantly. Srila Prabhupada obviously wants us to accept Krishna's viewpoint, or those whose unlimited senses disallow them for accurately comprehending this universal existence. What is Krishna's viewpoint? How do you understand Krishna's viewpoint? He explains that in Bhagavad Gita. He tells Arjuna, this is my viewpoint. And he tells Arjuna, choice is yours. Do you want to align with my viewpoint, or you want to continue to be on the bodily concept of life that you began before I recited the Bhagavad Gita? So now, if you look at Sukadeva Goswami's explanation to the questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, you can see this material world itself, that means we're talking about just one solar system. There are many solar systems like this, right? There are innumerable, endless characteristics of this universe. One can just get lost in this, ocean of knowledge. And even if you are going to go deeper and deeper into understanding this vast material knowledge, you will see that it's endless actually. I was just recently reading that Sunita Williams. She was explaining about her few months that she was in space, what all she was observing every day, what all she was witnessing, what all experience she went through. Very amazing. You can see those things are even unaware to us. So, there is no end to the search of knowledge. What we need to do, we need to accept the information given by the Acharya Parampara, coming from the Parampara, and get to the higher levels of practice. So Sukadeva Goswami admitted that to give full details of this expansive material universe would be impossible. He himself tells. We don't know the dimensions, the leaps and bounds of this material universe. If I can't even speak about that to full detail, I can only speak a fraction of it. And that too, whatever is he speaking, he's speaking whatever he got from the parampara system that he received from his acharyas. He was trained by Vyasdev. And Vyasdev got it from Nardaji. Nardaji got from Brahmaji. So like it goes. So the conclusion is, if one cannot comprehend this material expansion, the Supreme Personal Godhead, what is that we will estimate? What are the glories and blissful activities of the spiritual world? We cannot even understand. So what we have is very little bit information. So what we need to do, we understand the goals of the system, what the acharyas are trying to help us with, take that path and be fixed on that path to achieve those goals. What goals I'm talking? I'm talking about the spiritual goals. Some more aspects to our vision. In Brahma Samhita, we have 5.33, which says, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarup. Adyam Puranam Purusham Nava Yavvanam Cha. What did Brahmaji says? He says, the expansions of Govinda cannot be estimated by anyone. Even Brahmaji, who created this world for us, even he can estimate. So how we can estimate what is there in this? Where is the need for search of knowledge beyond a certain point in time? So Prabhupada is telling, don't waste your valuable time. Go on practicing love of Godhead. How can you practice devotion to your best possible extent? Don't waste your time in doing material transactions that are mundane in nature, or so-called spiritual transaction that also does not help you in realizing the Supreme Lord. So, one should practice devotion to the best possible extent. And that is the key. If we miss this bus of practicing the devotion, the mercy to realize the truth will be hidden for us. Rather, one should accept the world of authorities like Sukadeva Goswami, our acharyas, who reveal knowledge to the material realm, but through that knowledge lead. One should progress on to the spiritual reality with so much more valuable, with just the power to take us back to Godhead. What does the higher level of knowledge tells us? What is the real substance? That we are temporarily in this material world and we are not the part of this material world. We are part of the spiritual world and we are a visitor here. So, your visiting is done. You should find out all the means and methods as recommended in the scriptures to get back home, back to Godhead. That's your Goloka Vrinda. So hence Prabhupada concludes that we should therefore be satisfied with information that we receive from these Vedic sources and spoken by authorities. So you have a book Bhagavata and a person Bhagavata. Combine this together should be the end of knowledge, the end of search of knowledge. Then it is left to only two things. In the Varnashrama system, if you take Vanaprastha stage, in the Vanaprastha stage, one concludes that everything is Vasudeva. Okay, good. But now it's left to practice expression of love to that Vasudeva. So then you see there's only karma and bhakti, right? So how one practices karma so that bhakti keeps on manifesting to a larger and larger extent is the key to our the final examination that we're going to write. Antakale cha mameva smaran maktu kalevaram. Right? So now in this verse, if you see, the verse is talking about how one can, actually the summary of the verse is simple living and high thinking. If we complicate our life with more and more material activities and material opulences, then you will see there's no time for realizing the higher purpose of values of life. What to say of other devotees or other personalities? Because they're always enjoying on their gross body, they don't even know that the soul exists. But what is the real enjoyment. The enjoyment is not about the enjoyment of the body, but the enjoyment is all about enjoyment of the soul. When we give pleasure to the soul, that is the real enjoyment. That is eternal joyful nature. But today's sorry state is what? Because we are more and more grossly in this body, our association with Maya keeps increasing and our association with Krishna keeps decreasing. Prabhupada says that when this living entity fell down from the spiritual world, it was still pure in nature. But this living entity, by constant associations with the three modes of material nature, it completely got illusioned. And it started to think that he is the enjoyer or oneself is the enjoyer. So, the nature of the material world is the material illusion is it makes you to forget Krishna and makes you to remember that you are the enjoyer. So, people with this gross conception, it will be very difficult for them to practice devotional service. People who have come to this platform of devotion should realize this fact and give their time and attention to make your life simple and give maximum time and practice of devotion. And this is called the real civilization that Prabhupada is talking about. And this is how one can be fully happy. So, the suffering from all misery of materialism will continue. Their bodies become wrinkled and gradually deteriorate until they become almost like dwarfs, and bad odor emanates from their body because of unclean perspiration, resulting from all kinds of eating all kinds of nasty things. And this is definitely not human civilization. Civilization means improve ourselves in higher realms of understanding and get closer to God. That is real civilization. This civilization will not help us. So, if you look at the explanation first is given, even in this material world, one can lead an excellent life. Excellent life with a lot of bliss and happiness. As far as he understands what the Vedic culture is and what is the purpose and goals of his one's life and marches towards practice of devotion. That is the key. In the 27th verse, we completed 26th verse. So let's go back to this verse. Let me share this one. So you see, there is 26th verse also needs to be talked about. Here in this 26th verse, it talks about there are other mountains beautifully arranged around the foot of Mount Meru, like the filaments around the whorl of a lotus flower. The names are Kuranga, Kurara, Kushamba, Vaikanka, Trikuta, Sishira, Patanga, Ruchaka, Nishada, Sinivasa, Kapila, Shanka, Vaidurya, Jarudi, Hamsa, Rishabha, Naga, Kalanjara, Narda. So what is this is explained. I've put some slides to make you understand what does this mean. I'll just show you those slides. It is the description of the Jambudvipa, right? So this Bhumandala is like a lotus flower. Okay. And the center of the lotus flower, can you see this description here? This is called Jambudvipa. And the dimension of Jambudvipa, it says 100,000 yojanas. 1 yojana means 8 miles. So it says 100,000 yojanas by width and by length. That means it's like a square. It's in the center, right? So if you take a side view, expand, look at how this Bhumandala is spread. You can see the total height of this Bhumandala is not only 100,000 yojanas wide, but it's also 100,000 yojanas tall. In that, 84,000 yojanas are above water and about 16,000 yojanas are below water. And the center is the mountain which is called as the Sumeru mountain. The Sumeru mountain is into a particular division in the Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa has many divisions. In the center division, the division is called Varsha. It's called Ilavrita Varsha. So in that Ilavrita Varsha stands this Mount Sumeru, which is tall, and this is the description as described in Bhagavatam 5th canto. And the top of this Sumeru mountain, actually it's widespread. It is 32,000 yojanas width diameter, right? So this is the approximate explanation of how Jambudvipa is described. And for example, this is like the top view of the entire Jambudvipa. You can see the center is the Sumeru mountain. And then you see this is one Varsha, right? And then you see each Varshas are divided by mountain ranges. So for example, in the northern and the southern region, you have Trishanga and Kailasha. And then the eastern and the western region, we have Pavana and the Jatara mountain ranges. After that, we have see Mandara, we have Kumuda, we have Suparsha, then we have Meru Mandara. So like that we have, and then each of these mountain ranges, we have different civilizations, people that are living, right? And you can see there is a ocean of milk and honey. There's ocean of uh, sweet water. So like that, there are many descriptions that are explained. If we go to the subsequent chapters, we can actually go into detail how this entire description of this Sumeru mountain is explained. I've got another slide. So if you see the top of the Sumeru mountain, in the center is called the Brahmaloka, where Lord Brahma resides. That is called Manavati. On the eastern and the western side, we have the Varuna and Indra. On northern and southern, we have Kuvera and Yama. And then this Shiva, Vayu, Niriti, and Agni are the northeast, northwest, then southeast, southwest, like that it is. So these are like, what do you say? These are like, each of these demigods, they have their own, uh, own abodes, right? These are their personal abodes, and that is what is being described. And they sit on top of the Mount Meru. So, for example, if you take this picture back, here in this portion, see my mouse, is what is divided into these 9 things that I explained in this slide here, right? So this got 9 elements. So this is here. This is what we have from Srila Prabhupada. Just that explanation of Jambudvipa is so vast and so complicated. We can't understand by any amount of research and science. So what Prabhupada says? He says, just hear Bhagavatam, don't experiment. There are mountains, there are earths, there are universe, there are stars, there are moons. So many things are there. We cannot get detail how much ever you study, how much ever you go research. So what we need to do? Just follow the parampara system. Whatever our acharyas have given, what our Vedic scriptures have been written, Krishna says, Dharmam tu Shakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. The aspect of Dharma that manifested from the Lord. The Veda Shastra which give descriptions are also manifested from the Lord. So, just accept this information and go on practicing devotion. Even we do any amount of experiments, we will not conclude anything by saying, okay, what Srimad Bhagavatam is correct or wrong or what it may be. What we need to do, we have to just accept the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam as the ultimate record of reference or origin, and then practice devotion. When practice of devotion happens, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, by the mercy of the Acharya, this truth will be revealed. How great souls they realize these truths, and they were able to be very descriptive in that. So same realization will happen in the heart by the mercy of the Lord. And that will take us back home, back to Godhead. Krishna says, Tadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. I reside in your heart, and I keep guiding you. And I reveal the knowledge, I reveal the truth by which you can come back home, back to Godhead. So Prabhupada is really advocating us that keep your life simple, have a lot of peace of mind, go on reading Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. By practice of devotion, without offending other Vaishnavas or offending the scriptures or offending the deities, slowly the truth will be revealed. And as the truth revelation happens more and more, you will see our practice of bhakti just increases in an exponential manner. And in this very same birth, we can back home, back to God. Right? So that is the conclusion of today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. I hope I was able to help you with the best of my explanations that I could give you. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. I can take some questions if you want.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Guru Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for a very nice overview and also explaining why the significance of this specific chapter. Thank you, Prabhuji. I request the devotees to unmute the line and share the questions or comments or reflections, please.
Yeah. One chat saying, okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. But actually, we can have a separate session on Jambudvipa where I can explain all the mountain ranges, all the various varshas, all the divisions between them, and all those oceans that are how they're connected, how people move from one place to another place. So, like that, we can go very detailedly. Maybe we can have another class one day. We can just discuss about Jambudvipa alone. That alone will take like 2-3 hours of explanation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna.
And even the Prabhu was telling yesterday, Suvarnagor Hari Prabhu was telling, there is somebody who takes classes on cosmic, and he said they will take class for about 4 days or something like that.
Yes.
Yes. Very nice. But I think we have to read again and again.
Pavaneshwar.
Yes, Prabhu?
Avanitai Prabhu. He is
He
from
was mentioning about Pavaneshwar.
Pavaneshwar Prabhu.
Yes.
He is considered to be an expert in fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes, sir.
And only from fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, our TOIP has been constructed. I'll show you one book. This is the book. See, this is Pavaneshwar Das. Can you see? I don't know. Can you able to see?
No, it's little, yes, now we can see.
This is Pavaneshwar Das. He has written a book called A Seeker's Journey, Bhagavatam Seeker's Journey. So in this book, he's explained a lot of about the fifth canto of Bhagavatam, right? So most of the things that I spoke is from some of these things about this book only.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams. Thanks for that wonderful class, Prabhu. But Prabhu, what is the takeaway point that we should carry with us, Prabhu?
I discussed that. So there are 3 takeaway points. The first takeaway point is there's nothing called material. Everything is spiritual, is energy of Krishna. See the hands of the Lord in every aspect of this creation also. So then you will see the whole thing is spiritualized. Okay? Appreciate Lord's activity behind this material creation also and see the purpose behind that. Then you will see your consciousness is uplifted, your devotion will flourish. So that's the first takeaway. Okay?
Yes.
The second takeaway is the authority, the acharyas are representing from parampara. That means they are not creating knowledge. They are just repeating the knowledge as spoken by the previous acharyas. And the origin is Krishna himself.
Yes.
So rather than wasting time in trying to go deeper, analyzing this fact, that fact, why this, why that, just accept. If Srimad Bhagavatam says, get up in the morning and chant the holy name, do it.
Yes.
Acharya has told Krishna is the Tribhanga. He stands in that. Accept it. If Acharya says Krishna likes butter, offer him butter.
Yes.
So like this, go on practicing devotion. By that, you will be able to realize that Lord. And when you realize Lord gives you the knowledge to return back home, back to Godhead. right?
Yes.
So that is the most important aspect of take-home message. The third
Yes.
is this knowledge, this vast creation is so intense, and no one, even Brahmaji, cannot measure the dimensions of this knowledge, right? In fact, the Brahma that we have is called Chaturmukha Brahma, and he's got only four heads. He understands only four Vedas. But you see, there are other worlds, other parts of the universe where the Brahmaji is up to 10,000 heads. Now you see the depth of knowledge it can go to, unlimited depth of knowledge. So, what we have to understand is we are very, very insignificant in this entire creation, right?
Yes.
So, all the cause is our false ego. So, we should mend our false ego to become servant of Krishna, so that the false ego changes into true ego. Falsely identification to this body and enjoyment should be removed, and the true ego, how can I be a good servitor for the Lord and Lord's associate entourage? Then you see our life changes. So these are the key takeaways that you can think out of this today's class.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for a wonderful and informative class, Prabhu. I don't have any questions, Prabhu. You have answered everything. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, they say
Thank you, Prabhu.
5 C's now, Prabhu. First salt water comes, then the sugar cane, then
Yes,
like that. That means, I mean, as you said, we should not speculate. I'm just asking you out of curiosity. Like that means we have to go on traveling. The salt water goes, then sugar cane. Is something like that, Prabhu, or how is it?
No. It tells the variegatedness of this material world. So I'll tell you the variegatedness of this material world. Okay. Now, you see the food that is available today, form of pulses, fruits, or grains, or various things that are there in this creation. Okay. Now you see, you travel from Bangalore to little bit north of Bangalore. If Bangalore has, let's say, 25 varieties of food preparation, little bit away, about 20 kilometers, you will see this 25 varieties will become a new set of 25 varieties. And you go to the next state, you will see new. That means even in this material world also, you travel around, you will see so many varieties of every aspect of creation. So similarly, it tells that it is not that every ocean will be salt only, every ocean will be same. No. Lord is unlimited, He is Ananta, His creation is unlimited, the varieties are unlimited, everything is unlimited about it. That's what we have to understand.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay. Thank you.
So this tells the glories of the Lord. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, He says, by the fraction of my energy, I create this material world. Now, you see, if the fraction of this material world has unlimited in its variegatedness, then what will be the level of spiritual world and the varieties and the activities that will be there? It's mind-boggling. You can't even imagine. So what we need to do, we have to just aspire, follow the Shastric rules, and go back home back to it.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for the wonderful explanation. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Yes.
Excellent explanation, Prabhu. I could not even digest the vast of things you explained. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
We only touched the surface today, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful realizations. I just what struck me was you were mentioning about so many sources of knowledge and information. I was just reflecting on that because we are really in today's times. It's very relevant. So much of drowning in information to really get shelter from all this drowning is our Bhagavatam, and if is real shelter. So you just substantiated that, increase the conviction. Thank you.
In fact, in our recent Madurai program, Guru Agnya program, our Guru Maharaj gave many instructions. In one of the instructions he gave was, he said, I want my disciples to read Srila Prabhupada books only. Just stick to that, and that is enough in this lifetime. We don't need to speculate by going here, doing this. Nothing is required. It is amazing. And he just made it so simple by making that statement. So we have to just follow what Bhagavatam says. And I think it will fulfill all our needs in this material life.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. If there are no questions, shall we end this today's class? And thanks for all your wonderful association. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhabhyavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnavandaki Jai.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat
Hare
Pranam
Krishna
Prabhu.
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam and take leave.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna
devotees. We
Prabhu,
will end this
Dandavat
room. We'll meet again tomorrow morning, 7:15. Krishna willing.
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare. Beautiful messages.